I want to talk about how have you been able to pull all of this off with your nostril cancer? How have you been able to do that? I mean, 6 surgeries was it?
6 surgeries
Since 2016,
from
right?
July of 2016 to December 2016, and the last 2 checkups I've had, I'm still cancer free. So I'm very happy that he was very instrumental in being at my side for the first 3, which were more of the critical type of cancers where they actually got rid of it and took care of the lymph nodes.
And mind you, at least traveling all the way from Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, to come out to Denver, Colorado, to at least
I paid for it though too. Remember?
Yeah, that's true too.
But you know the thing is, Bob, all I know is, and I think Nick would agree. I know the first week I spent in the hospital, I wanted to get out of there. I didn't want to be in the hospital. I'm not that type of guy. I think besides having my appendix out and having Tommy John surgery done on my elbow many years ago, I hate hospitals. And
it's definitely an interesting, at least, environment, a vibe.
Yeah.
And again, cooped up in there, yeah.
And that's nothing against the hospital. I'm just saying I don't want to be there. And I'm too healthy to be in a hospital. And I felt that way, not knowing what I looked, because I did not look in a mirror for about a week, because I knew there was a change in my facial look. So I didn't look in a mirror for about a week. But once we were released from the hospital, I sat at home for a couple of days and I said, screw this, I got to get back to work. And if my staff can tolerate how I look with bandages all on my face, we'll give it a shot. And I came back to work probably a couple weeks after the first couple of surgeries. I had 2 more surgeries, which were almost like in sync monthly, August, September, where they kept me in the hospital for a day, because they were 6-hour surgeries. And then, a couple days later, I was back to work. I felt good. And, I guess I was given that second chance. Having this cancer, I was given that second chance to change my lifestyle. The worst thing I did in my life is I dipped for 40 years playing. That's just from my baseball days.
You're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about that type. And did that cause the cancer? Don't know. And even my cancer doctor who performed the surgery couldn't give me a legitimate reason of what caused it.
Yeah, it was a rare form of cancer where
it was
he
$1 million. It was 1 in a million type of cancer.
You had to get it, right?
I had to get it.
It wasn't a lottery, was it?
No.
He was certainly the guinea pig and the study subject for a few CU, at least, students who came in and at least observed and monitored, because again, it was just that rare. It's very uncommon, and they were just trying to figure out how this became, and it's still kind of a mystery at this point.
The nice thing too is I'm in radio. I'm not like you being on television back in the day. No one sees me.
Well,
at least on KYOY they don't see me in the morning, because that's where I do my morning
on
show.
Wyoming SportsTalk today, we video live stream, so he has to bear that for a
But
little
I look like something out of Raging Bull. I look like I got the snot kicked out of me here with my nose these days. Am I a little self-conscious about it being on camera? Yeah, a little bit. He's kind of guided me along, because with our commitment that we have for LCCC Sports, we stream all games via YouTube and Periscope via Twitter. But I'm on the camera, and the only thing I really hate is when I do a profile, because if you look, I don't have much of a profile anymore.
Self-conscious, I want to talk about that for a second. You get to a point where you say, okay, I'm not a pretty boy anymore, whether you're on radio streaming, on a website, or on TV. You get to a point where now you're going to focus at the issue on hand, whether it's sports, whether it's politics. You're going to be the best you can be,
right,
without worrying about how you look. How long does that take?
For me, you had to snap out of it right away. So I would say once I came back to work, it was like, let's get back to work. Matter of fact, Nick had, at that time, I had just brought Nick back a year after all of the surgeries. And as he sat down with me and said, Dad, this is where I want to take this radio station. We need to do this, that, and the other thing. And of course, not thinking about my pocketbook, But it's like, Dad, give me this. Dad, I need this. And it was like, okay. And he'll agree with me. He knows I'm still very self-conscious about my looks.
Especially when we are doing the sports broadcasts and the video live streams, to kind of compare to the ESPNs of the world, CBS Sports Network, those where, again, you do have those talking heads that do get in front of the camera and just kind of introduce themselves to the world, the viewing audience, to know who they are. It was my vision to do that as well, but knowing that his situation, again, I'm so used to it at this point, it does not bother me, but not thinking of his self-consciousness, I go, hey, let's get ready, we got to focus, we got a job here, let's get this interview or this kind of opening segment done and, just kind of move on from there.
I was just going to say, the interesting part about this particular surgery, as you can see, I have half of my nose, and then this part here is from my forehead. So as you're sitting there with those lines of the forehead, I can't do that anymore. But it's interesting.
I'll trade you.
But I'll tell you what though, Bob. When they first cut this skin into place here, this again is from my forehead. It actually grew more hair than it did on the top. So I was actually shaving it here for about the first month. Now it's kind of settled in where it is now part of my nose. Do I want to have a little more facial reconstruction? Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I didn't want to do it. Do I want to go back under the knife again? Not really, no. Not at my age right now.
I know it's getting late, I've been holding you up, but I just want to ask you one more question. Larry and Nick, you can get in on this too. Anybody else going through a terminal illness or an illness like you have, what would you tell them, Larry?
Keep fighting. I play on a baseball team that I was with for many years, and 4 of us have cancer. Started off with one of our guys who had prostate. He got it, taking care of it. A friend of mine who was with me, he had stomach esophageal. He passed away. Another one who actually lives up here, he also had stomach cancer, and then most recently, the guy who coaches our team when we're in tournaments, and I play in an over 50 league down in Denver, he had a little bit of cancer growth on his mouth. So I think strength is what you need. And again, I know my world came to an end when they told me it was, squamous and I'm going to have the surgery. And matter of fact, when I sat down with that cancer doctor, she told me, I recommend surgery. Called me back about 4 or 5 days later and said, I would be remiss to let you know that you can treat this with radiation or chemotherapy. And I remember my mother had breast cancer and I saw what it did to her. I said, no, let's get it out. Let's just get, if it can be operated on, I believe that the doctors are able to rid your body of this bad disease. But I always say to those that have cancer, fight. Just keep fighting. And, in my case, with this nasal cancer, I don't know if dipping or anything had anything to do with it. I quit. I've quit the dip now for almost 3 years.
Nick, were you ever afraid you were going to lose him?
There was a point, I think, in the first surgery where, again, not a whole lot of communication with doctors, or at least the surgery center. It's pretty much you watch a board with his number on it. They kind of put a number with it, and they give you color coding to see where his process is. And they give you a time estimate, and I think for his first surgery, he went about 3 hours long, so it was kind of that question mark. At least I remember there at UC Health, I was the only last person in the waiting room late at night. No one was there to talk about or at least notify me on anything. And then eventually saw a doctor, or at least his doctor, come out. And yeah, I was kind of wondering if the worst had happened, especially with his age, his kind of health as well too. But seeing that doctor sitting down and goes, hey, he's going to be fine. It was just kind of that rush of emotion, that kind of wave of just knowing, well, it was fine. He survived at least the major one. The first one, it's all said and done, and life can move on. So, in going back to his comments as well too, of just about, at least with cancer and everything, he kind of alluded to it of, hey, you got to move on. You just got to continue life. You got to live it to the fullest that you can. and just not let it bring you down. Just keep on moving forward, and again, just enjoying what time you do have at least remaining.
One of my pride and joys is right here, Bob. As I said, I play on a baseball team. We go down to Arizona every year for a World Series. That was 2017, 1 year after having the cancer. So, I'm very blessed, so to speak.
Gotta say you have a very loyal, loving son, Larry. You're lucky.
And a daughter, too.
Good seeing you guys. Larry
Thanks so
Proietti,
much.
Nick.
Good seeing
Great
you as
to
well,
have
Bob.
you back.
Absolutely.